This is lesson 4, part 2. What we want to do here is to continue with the explanation of the different type of style sheets. So here what we want to do is to place your cursor on the third paragraph, and if you're in Windows, hold the Alt key and then click. If you're in a Mac, hold the Option key and Command and then click in the third paragraph. You'll see this external style sheet come up. This is where the style comes from. So notice it comes from Style Places CSS.css. It has a paragraph marker. And then the green, if you put your cursor on the dot green, it shows you what makes up that particular class. So notice the color's green, the font family they have, and the font size is 14 pixels. Now we've actually been working with all three types of style sheets. Let's take a look at this inline sheet right now. And to do that, we'll triple click real quick on here. This will select the entire paragraph. Click on the code view, and notice here we have the style placed within the sheet. So it has a paragraph, it has a style, color blue, the font family, and the 14 pixels. The only problem is it only applies to this particular paragraph. If you have another paragraph below this particular style will not apply to it, because it only applies to this particular one from the beginning of the paragraph marker to the end of the paragraph marker. So here's an inline style sheet. Here is, in this part right here, we use class red, and notice it's defined at the top. So this is called an internal style sheet, where we change the properties that we want for that particular class. In this case, we made up a class called .red. When we reference it, we leave the dot off and just have the name red here. And then the third thing we can have is an external style sheet. So here, notice we have P class green text, and notice it's not anywhere here, but notice here we have a reference to an external style sheet. So here we have a link reference. Notice it's in the header. This is the CSS file that contains it. And so if we go ahead and we double click on this style sheet, notice it'll open it up. And notice here we have the green text, and all our paragraphs are going to be the color of blue. So that's an external style sheet. Here's an internal style sheet. Notice the style command here. We end it here. And then this is the style that we add to this particular one. And we can have as many different ones as we want here. And then the third one is to put an external style sheet. Now let's go back to the design view for our style places.html. And in the styles panel over here on this side, click all, and this shows all the styles we have. Here, notice we have an internal style. We have a .red. Here we have an external style sheet because it names the style sheet, and then we have the parts that are here that shows what's changed there. So if it's closed, you can open it by clicking on the plus sign. And notice as I click each one down here, it shows you the properties that are changed for that particular one. So as I go to the paragraph, notice all I have is a color property. When I go back to this one for red, it shows me the red color that I typed in earlier. Now if I double click on the style over here in the CSS rules panel, notice it opens up a split view of the document, and it places me where that particular style is located. And then you can come here and edit anything that you want if you want to change it by hand. Now let's go bring up this style sheet. Let's close it. Let's show another way. Let's go back to our design view. If I come over here to Style Places CSS and I double click that, then notice that this Style Places CSS.css file opens up, and we can make changes here that way. Now if we have competing styles, which one gets chosen? For example, if I would put a paragraph tag in here as opposed to having it in here, which one would get applied? So let's take an example of that. Okay, let's take this style and copy it to an internal. I'm going to go to the source code and I'm going to place here that color, but instead of blue, I'm going to change it to red. So if I have a paragraph here, notice that the paragraph comes up blue. And why does it come up blue and not red? Because we decided we put a paragraph color red here in the internal style sheet. But notice that this link reference to the external style sheet comes last. Since it's last, this paragraph, this becomes the dominant one. So notice we have our example paragraph here. It is in blue. And why is it in blue, even though here we have an internal style sheet that says it's red? And the reason for that is because in our external style sheet, which comes after the internal style sheet, we have a paragraph marker, and notice we make it blue. So that's why it's blue. Let's see what happens if we take this link and move it above the internal style sheet. So I'm going to cut it out from here. I'm going to move up to above this style. I'm going to paste it in here. Now when I click refresh, now notice this paragraph is red. So the rule is whatever one comes last, that is the rule that's applied to the style.